Good morning, everybody. Welcome once more to this room of this Congress, Siempre Vivo, Siempre Verde, forever alive, forever green. We will listen to Gunther Pauli. He will talk about the Schul economy. This is the first time we have him in the Congress. Really, the concepts she has on blue economy are very interesting. So it's very timely that she will talk about this and what is her approach. We will have a some time for a presentation, and then we are having a Q&A session.
Les aclaro que en la parte derecha, en el margen derecho,
in the right side of the screen, you have a space for questions. You can ask questions, and I will present him. Gunther designs and implements an industry that responds to people's needs using the local available inputs. Gunther will make the presentation in English. He was born in Belgium, but he speaks lots of languages, 5, 6. She has a master in France, also a degree in Italy, and a PhD from other universities. He's author of the book UN Economy, that the concept that he will talk about is to use the cheapest possible things. He is president of the most important biopolymers company in the world that works with agricultural inputs. He's a member of the World Academy of Arts and Science. He is a long-term advisor of governments and United Nations. Gunther is in Italy right now, so I will give him the floor. Thank you very much, Gunther, for your time. We are really eager to listen to your presentation. Please take the floor.
Gracias, Tomás. Muy amable también a todos ustedes por la invitación de compartir no solamente una filosofía, una visión, pero también la práctica, porque yo pienso
philosophy, but also the view and the practice. We need today people that are able to put things into practice. People talk a lot, but we need to do things. And so allow me to describe shortly what is blue economy and basically what it is not. Blue economy is economy. This means that we need to be able to add value. This is the basis of economy. If you don't create added value, you will have to depend on subsidies, and this is not our objective. It's an economy. We call it blue because we are not green. I've struggled for 30 years for green economy, but I conclude that whatever is good for us or whatever that is good for the environment is very expensive. Green economy is for rich people, and that's not possible. And in this green economy, we always try to adopt an economic model to produce more and more of the same standardized production and globalized production. I'm not against standardization or globalization, but when we have the poverty levels in the world, including Argentina, which is increasing, and unemployment levels that we experience, we have to conclude that this model is not giving the best that the society needs. That's why we developed in 2008 and 2009 the concept of blue economy. But this is not a theoretical concept. It's based on more than 100 projects that have been implemented during 25 years. We infer the basic principles which we need not only to add value, but as a consequence, if you add value, you are able to generate employment and you can meet basic needs when there is added value. Which are these basic concepts? First, we use what is locally available. I love Argentina. I've been to your country for the first time in 1976. I know the country. I've traveled thanks to Senator Bergman. I was able to go there and to get to know all the territory. When I see soybean harvest or wheat harvest, I can't understand why in Argentina you don't do anything with stubble. Stubble can become a crop for fungi, edible fungi, or mushrooms. We No, first you plant the mushrooms or the fungus, and once you have harvested the mushroom, the stubble is better for the land, for the soil, than the crude stubble or the green stubble, and this allows you to create a very high added value. People forget that looking for efficiency, as we have done in the past century for agriculture, is limited. We have converted our black soil full of vegetable carbon. We have converted it into a mine. The soil that we see is a soil that we want to regenerate. We don't only want to use what is locally available, but what we do is that we regenerate this soil. A tropical forest, a wet
templada como ustedes tienen.
A temperate weather as you have in Patagonia, or forests as you have in Patagonia, are able to generate 250 they can generate 250 tons per hectare, but we have changed these for a genetic system, a chemical system, and industrialized systems taking nutrition from the soil. I think that we have disregarded the efficiency of nature. 250 tons, of course, are not exactly using the same fruit, the same seeds. It's not exactly the same, but the important thing is that the productivity that we are using in the industrial context today cannot compete with the generation of added value and with the capacity to regenerate soil as rainforest does. That's why that the more than 200 projects that we have implemented in the world, 60% of these projects are based on fisheries, mining, and agriculture, because this is where that's the origin of the vertical chain of added value. In my book, Plan A, which is the plan for Argentina, You can download this in the Secretariat of Sustainability and Ecology. You can download this book. What I say here, when I talk about silt,
aplica glifosato y paraquat.
silt is considered a weed. Silt is a perennial plant that allows us to regenerate carbon in the earth. If the silt has a life of 7 years, if after 7 years we can turn this land with thistle, we can turn this land in a in a very productive land. Only 7 years. If we see the product, if we see how long it takes to put products in the world market, we only think of corn, wheat, and soybean. But I think in terms of added value that can respond to basic needs, my perception will be different because although thistle the oil of thistle is not as good as sunflower oil, we have this oil can be used to produce bioplastic. And in thistle stubble, it provides interesting cellulose and sugar, which are the basic ingredients for the production of bioplastic. Why should we consider thistle as a problem? Because it is a very interesting source for bioplastics. And society is really fed up with plastics in the sea. Our food today has 5 grams of microplastics each week, and we eat that. But we need to stop that. But if we can replace it with a natural plastic or a bioplastic coming from the thistle, that would be better. 1 hectare of soybean. Give me how much Cargill pays for harvesting per ton. We, with the thistle, we are able to raise 3,700 euros in 7 years. We forgot that the engine of economy is not tons. It is added value. I believe that our farmers are leaving aside this huge opportunity of integrating in a vertical manner the value chain. The headquarters of the company Novamonte in Italy is directly integrated and related to farmers. We share with farmers part of our profit thanks to the use of the stubble and the thistle. And the interesting thing is that Italian farmers, in cooperation with Congreso, which is a farmers cooperative with millions of members, is not committed to selling glyphosate of paraquat. They are integrated, or they agree on selling the bioplastics. A short time ago, we launched another initiative that could inspire your teams in Argentina. This is coffee. I know that you have a small coffee crop in the northern part of Argentina. But the attractive side of this is that we have studied coffee for years, and finally we don't understand how it is possible that the residue of or the stone of coffee is disposed, is wasted. On the other hand, we buy goji from the Himalaya, and they have a high antioxidant concentration that is only the fifth of the acid of the coffee stone, because we don't think as nature thinks. Nature does not think in waste. Today we are planning in Colombia the first factory connected to the first factory in France. The factory in Colombia will use the skin, and we are going to mix it, and we will generate what we call solid coffee. But right now we use the whole skin, and from the first day we can pay the farmer 5 more times. It is the same harvest, the same effort, because we are not only using the kernel, but we are using the whole skin. So we are designing this product. So it's already in the farm from the very beginning. There is an increase in profit because the skin has the chemistry needed for industrialization, and it yields, although it is not edible. We convert it and we process it so it becomes an edible product. Although productivity goes down and the price goes down, this is a very interesting advantage that the markets offer today. When you produce a solid coffee, you don't need to have the best flavor in the world, but you have a nutrition bomb package. A 10 grams can has the same impact as if you were drinking a double espresso. I presented 2 specific cases, Thomas. I have many more. But it is the same logics. We are using what the soil already offers. It's not that it's not that we are asking the soil to produce or the land to produce more. We are using what is already available there, and we focus on the farmers and on the immediate needs of farmers and people. I forget to talk. When I talked about stubble, I forgot to say that in stubbles we have the fungus cropping. There are more than 5,000 companies that are doing that. In Córdoba, in Chacra do Luna, there is a community that has applied this. The interesting here is the latest decision of the Nestlé group. I have been for the past 25 years talking to Nestlé and wondering how come that you are burning the whole coffee harvest or crop, and you only use the extract of coffee insoluble. And for the first time, Nestlé contacted me and asked me if we could consider develop this project with them. But the volumes we are talking about include thousands and thousands of tons. But we are lucky enough that we have the possibility to convert this coffee waste in 1,000 tons of mushrooms. And the extract for soup will also for vegans will have an additive with mushrooms. The important thing is that right now we have the first hamburger chain that are interested in buying high mushroom volumes in order to use this mushroom to convert meat hamburgers or soybean hamburgers in mushroom hamburgers. I think that we are going to revolutionize the market if the farmer is quick enough and has this approach of adding value to the complete harvest. I think that we will be able to go to the transition that Argentina needs to generate employment and to have a healthier environment for everybody, including nature. Thank you very much, Gunter. Excellent. Your presentation or whatever you said is very interesting. I know that you don't have much time. I will try to direct some questions.
Es muy interesante.
You have been talking about the integration of the chain. This is very interesting. Sometimes the complexity of your point is because of this. How farmers from their farms, their production sites, from what they have always been doing, traditional crops, it's sometimes hard for them to become part of the whole chain, or it's hard for them to grow vertically so as to join several links. Sometimes the marketing structures of developing countries make it difficult for farmers to add value and to stop selling commodities. What do you think, or how do you think your approach could be applied in less developed countries? Well, it's quite clear that nowadays the structure of industrialization with vertical integration is something new. That's why we need investors, industrial investors who are interested in byproducts. There are several examples like this. A farmer by him or herself will have a hard time doing this. Farmers on their own won't have the power, nor the flexibility, nor the capital to set up these projects. That's why I believe that we have to do what has been done in Italy. We need to set up cooperatives, number one. Number two, we need to have clearly defined goals. That is, well, the market of nutrition is driving towards gluten-free products and products that don't include saturated fats. So this is where the market is evolving towards. So if we listen to what the market is asking for, we may be able to become industrialized. Nowadays, it's much easier to create a direct relationship with a customer. Fortunately, today, large chains, hamburger chains, are willing to work locally with local products. They are not as strict as they were in the past about using products coming from the central headquarters, managed from the headquarters. And I believe that the flexibility in the distribution makes it possible to develop production initiatives in a given region. And this is not too hard to achieve. We have been able to do this in Italy. It has taken some time. It hasn't been easy. It's a continuous quest, but each changes and transformations are not easy, but the goal is clear. We have to look at the added value. This was the final goal of my book, plan A for Argentina. Where is the added value? Where could we make much more money with what we already have? If we stop selling products to the international market the way they are produced, you, Thomas, are familiar with Mr. Tompkins' initiative in the north. His farm had no future. Why? Because despite all the money he and Chris had invested, they were never able to make money. So if you don't make money or make profit, eventually the project is futureless. And I believe that the most important thing is this. All initiatives have to focus on a value-added strategy. And in the case of food, well, we know where the food market is evolving towards. But if we talk about plastics, about packaging, it's clear that the world of the future will be the world of bioplastics. This is crystal clear. And who is going to be the supplier of the raw materials for bioplastics? Agriculture. Bioplastics that are sold for 2,000 euros. Well, it's much more than a ton of soybeans sold for $300. So you can see where the difference lies. And farmers have to get inspired, have to learn about this value chain. They have to identify where the changes can be introduced in the relatively short term. That's great. I have another question or remark. In your book, the one you wrote for Argentina, I believe you have clarified this, and the book may be downloaded for free, so please download it, read it. But you believe that for Argentina, these developments might help Argentina to improve its performance in terms of production, but also in the social arena, because there are many areas in Argentina where the production is a kind of production that creates profit, and some development or might foster local development. If we change our mindset and think about the blue economy, do you think what we have may be scaled towards what you have described, taking into account our needs and our current scenario? You have seen this in Colombia too. A big difference between Argentina and Colombia, for example, is that in Argentina you have large prairies, huge prairies, and huge level areas, the Pampas, the Patagonia, where you have lands of millions of hectares that are plain, and it's tempting to turn this into something that is standardized, industrialized. Well, it's a big temptation, and that's why I believe that it's time to rethink the approach. Are we always looking for the highest efficiency per hectare, or are we going to look for resiliency with efficiency? And it's clear that resiliency calls for a smaller scale strategy, because we need integration, and that involves trust and lower risk, because if you have multiple sources of income coming from different sources, not just one source of income with a price set by the Chicago Grain Board, but if you get a price that is related to the added value and you are able to decide how you are going to invest that income, well, there will be a big change. In English, we call this economy of scale. It has to be replaced by what we call the economy of scope, an economy where you have 3, 4, or 5 sources of income from the same source, from the same crop, several sources of income. Thistle can be used to produce plastic. The enzymes of the thistle flower are very good to produce yogurt or to manufacture goat cheese. With the 2,000 tons of this product, you may produce all the goat cheese manufactured in Italy, goat cheese. But these are additional sources of income, and according to the traditional rationale, these products were disregarded well because we grow soybean and we are not paying attention to enzymes to manufacture yogurts. But today, 60% of our income comes from bioplastics and 60% comes from the enzymes that are used to manufacture the clothing agent used for yogurt. But yogurt needs this, and the enzyme is sold in packages containing 25 grams. It's not sold by the ton, but by grams. So traditionally, in the industry, we have always thought that this is a different skill. Why is it different? We are intelligent human beings. Farmers have always done many things simultaneously. One of the big advantages of resiliency and of the capability of farmers of thinking about sun, water, soil, well, it's because they manage different paths simultaneously and finding the best one. It's only in the last 50 years when we have turned farmers into robotic actors because they think about just one thing, tons of soybean per hectare, and this has to change. So we could say that this is not a substitution of substituting food and going to bioplastics. It's rather an integration. In the past, we were producing one product, one crop, or 2 or 3 crops, and now we should start with integration, getting more byproducts, which may not be commodities from the same surface area. In practical agricultural terms, we call this intensification, where we intensify the use of those farms trying to plant more crops throughout the year. What I have understood from your lecture is that we have to consider the marketing point of view, how we could sell those products and how they could be used. We are used to harvesting a product, selling it to Cargill or any other company. That's it. That's the end of the farmer's role. And you are suggesting that farmers should get involved in the chain in a more comprehensive fashion, and that they should look at production with a holistic approach. So this could be the closing message for our farmers. Yes, and we have achieved this in Colombia and Italy. So I know Argentinians are not Colombian nor Italian, but the truth is that it can be done, and we are replicating this in many countries. Value chains with multiple sources of income. This is the future. Thank you, Gunther. Thank you very much. I don't know if you want to share some closing remarks with us. No, but anyway, thank you very much. And if there are questions from participants about this subject matter, if you have seen the book or have read this book, Plan A, please write to me through you, Thomas. Get in touch with us and we may talk, because at the end, by the end of the day, we have to do things to have things happen. Thank you very much for participating, and let's keep in touch. It's my pleasure, Thomas.